guys, now we're going to have a look at the southern faction for heavy gear. These are the guys basically who are infighting. While they're fighting against the north, they're also fighting against each other.
They have too much supplies and resources of things, so they go, that guy over there's got a slightly bigger gun than me.
Yeah, the southern faction basically is controlled by the Southern Republic Army, almost, where they those are the guys that basically annexed all these other territories, who now, of course, are basically not fighting against them and being rebellious and generally infighting, although they're all combined together to fight the north.
Yeah.
So
when times get tough, we all there really are brothers next door in that next country there, but the rest of the time they're a bunch of dogs.
That's it. But I mean, what are they good at? Well, they've got the more curved looking,
sexy
looking robots. Yeah, they've got all the curved, more sort of maybe anime style models. But not only that, you know, they are the guys that have the big explosions.
Yes, exactly. You want a dude to put out a big bomb, you got one of these, or a big blast. Not terribly accurate, but as long as they're another guy's side of the board, that's enough.
Well, that's it. I've noted that some of the stuff that they get. So we've got heavy grenade launchers, light grenade launchers, flamethrowers.
And really good.
Well, yeah, especially when your grenade launcher's like firing a grenade that's supposed to be the size of a beer keg. Not that we'd be launching beer kegs.
Is that
of
one
course,
of them puny beer kegs used in England, or one of them big ones used here in Ireland?
The proper size beer
proper
kegs.
size beer keg.
Proper size. I didn't even know there were small beer kegs.
Oh yes, even their spirits are smaller. But yeah, we jest about the size of beer kegs just because we have the biggest. But yes, I don't know if you even call that a grenade. I would say even if that thing didn't go off, if it landed on you,
that's right. You know, listen, I mean, these gears are supposed to be what, 15 foot tall. Yeah. So even if you get hit with one of those, you put a dent in it.
Well, you could try and drink it, I suppose.
I suppose, yeah. Well, I could.
But some of our guys here are immune to it.
No, that's true enough. Yeah. So they also get some of the best striders around. So they've got twin-linked anti-tank missile launchers.
Missiles do hand it out. Yeah, missiles do hand it out. They have good damage. They're not like the big railguns and things, but they still have good, hard-hitting damage. And I think the advantage with your missiles is you fire more of them.
Yeah, fire lots of them in a big
exactly.
Scatter them.
I think me and you are fans of firing more stuff rather than less.
Always fire your stuff early. What we found was when we were playing heavy gear is that some of the stuff like missile launchers has limited ammunition. Fire it as quickly as you can.
Fire
because
it all.
You may not live another turn to fire at all.
Exactly. So. It's no point being a dead gear. It's not like one of them action films where the hero picks up a gun that's always fully loaded. Mm-hmm. If I was dead and it was my gun, there'd be no bullets left in it. Because I would have shot them all first. You know, even if the guys are massively long distance away and there's virtually no chance. The shot has to land somewhere.
There's still a chance, and that's it. Again, whenever we were playing it, it's one of the things that we noticed was that there's no point in hanging on to all this ammunition, hoping that you're going to get the best shot. You take the shot. You take the shot.
The thing is, if you've fired all your missiles and you've nothing left, you can always run up and kick the other guy. You can always ram into them. But for me, yes, Andy, 100% correct. Fire all your missiles straight off.
That's it, and try and get those, because if you do get a lucky hit, they do hit hard.
And you may not have fired all your ammo if you roll well. You've got more missiles for the next turn, fire them all, fire them now.
That's it. So then some of the sub-factions then for the south. Okay, so the first one up is the Southern Republic Army. Yeah. They have access to some of the elite Black Mamba gears, which are really good. I think they're airdroppable as well, so they're the guys that can just parachute in the side of the board.
Advantages to that as landing and ready for the fight, but there's disadvantages to that, as in I land on the other side of the board and I'm surrounded by the enemy at this point.
That's true.
Airdrop's great, but be tactically aware when you use things like this here. Don't land right in front of the other guy's army as he's about to open out and shoot everybody at you.
Well, that's it. And of course, these guys have their convict troops as well. So not only do they get the elites, they also get convicts. Those are the guys to send in the fight.
Yes, those are the guys that you use to expend the other guys' rockets and missiles. They've did their job if they die to a missile.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Whenever I used to play fantasy battles, you used to get nobblers for the ogre army.
Yeah.
Nobody liked nobblers. The ogres didn't like nobblers, so they went forward and they died.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. Convicts are doing their job. Anybody that's been convicted of anything, campaigning against the leadership or anything like that, there,
Campaigning against
non-government organisations, good laws against them, and have them as convict troops.
Well, that's it. The Southern Republic also gets political officers as well. These aren't the political officers you would imagine that shoot your guys for not obeying orders. They instead file nasty reports and
I don't like it.
tell on you.
I like shooting guys at retreat.
That's it.
I'm personally more of a fan of shooting guys at retreat. Having to write out a report,
Yeah.
that's no good. You'd be a coward in this man's army. If somebody just says, "You're not a nice person and you talk a lot of crap," that doesn't really affect me. I get that every day.
That's it. Well, the Southern Republic Army are the guys who are a bit more general. They have access to quite a lot of the stuff, including some of the convict troops. Because the next sub-faction you get is the Militia. Now, I'll have to actually look at what they actually stand for, because it's the Military Intervention and Counterinsurgency Army.
These are the guys that get tons of convict troops.
Yeah, they are the convict army.
Yeah. They are basically the Minesweeper Battalion army.
Yeah.
Yes, you get tons of the cheap convict guys. As we called it, you get on-the-job training.
On-the-job training. Yeah, this faction has some particularly good rules in that normally in sub-factions you get access to better stuff. They get access to worse stuff. So you can actually take them. They can actually downgrade their equipment to make them cheaper, so that you can get more of them.
More is always good. More.
That's it. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Even if your gear has less armor on it, your gun still is effective.
Exactly.
Even if it's not as well armored.
Guys, if your gear has got poor armor or no armor, you might as well have no armor, because a lot of them big rail guns and heavy field guns, even if you have good armor, they're going to vaporize you anyway. So you might as well have none as have some.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
and anyway, it's a convict that's inside it.
That's it.
Let the dog die.
That's it. And Darrell, your favourite. Not only can they make their equipment cheaper, but you can also make the guys cheaper by giving them on-the-job training. Basically, they have on-the-job training, and this is their first day.
This is your first day. It's like the start of Enemy at the Gate. One guy gets a gun, the guy gets some bullets whenever the guy with the gun dies.
Yeah.
I like on-the-job training. It teaches you. See it there. It's like that old thing about teaching people how to swim. Chuck them in the sea.
Yeah.
You learn how to swim. Teach them how to fight in the battle. Chuck them in the middle of the battle. If they survive, they've learned.
Well, and again, I mean, the main thing is, of course, this is the epitome of your swarm army. You get lots and lots of cheap guys here. You know, they might not have the best training, they might not have the best gears, but there are a lot of them, and they're going to waste a lot of your ammunition. So, that's what they're there for. They're there to soak up all the hits and to give back a lot of shooting. You know, so.
These smattered in with maybe a couple of big hard guys at the back
Yep.
to do some of your big blasts at your long range is always a great hammer and anvil type thing. It's always a great combo.
Well, that's it. Then we get my favourite faction.
Yes.
This is the one that I waxed lyrical about whenever we first took a look at heavy gear, and this is the police. I don't know. I'll get their name again because I always forget. I know it's the Mekon Dominion, but it's the Mekon Dominion Peacekeepers. That's it.
Peacekeepers. That's another word. Peacekeepers. It always makes me suspicious whenever anybody is calling themselves a peacekeeper or preemptive strikes and things like that.
Well, that's it. These guys basically are the police, and they're great because they get riot shields, and I'm always a fan in games. Always rate shields. You know, anybody who doesn't take a shield in any of these games is I shake my head in disbelief and go, why are you not going to carry a big lump of metal with you to stop bullets?
That stops other guys hitting you. Yes, if you have a shield that's worth it, obviously. Sometimes you get shields that are just pointless. But yeah, if you have a shield that's worth it, it's great. The police get access to frag cannons,
which
things
are
like that
basically
as well.
massive shotguns.
And katanas, they get katanas.
Well, one of your units in your force can be outfitted with vibro katanas, but they're my favorite basically because they have shields, and shields increase the amount of damage boxes that you have, and your armor is generally higher. It normally comes in, I think it's 18 is the armor on these guys, and that's just about the level where you can start reducing down that damage of some of the
Yeah.
the more moderate weapons. Not, of course, your big heavy heavy field guns are still going to vaporize you, but that's the stuff that's less than that. The sort of the light stuff is starting to get
Even
down to it might just knock a couple of boxes off rather than just blowing you away.
Exactly. If you can be guaranteed to lose 2 boxes at a time, you're all right. So once you lose 3,
Well, I mean,
then you're done for.
I think you can also upgrade your gears as well to get an extra box of damage, and then get a shield to give you an extra box again. So
And they can also take old gears as well if they want to.
no, you don't want to do that. And perhaps if you were the convict outfit, you would want to do that, but I wouldn't want to do it with the police force. You want those frag cannons. The good thing is, of course, they can also upgrade to the Black Mambas as well. And the Black Mambas, as I said before, are the guys who can drop in onto the field. They can drop in onto the field, and they've got those shotguns. Shotguns, nice and close range, nice and up close and personal.
Yeah. After that there, guys, we have the HAPF, the Dorgans.
General Richard Dawkins.
The Dorgans, the Humanist Alliance Protectorate Force. Yes, Dorgans leads this army and denies that there is anybody out there guiding the Northerners towards them.
Well, that's and they get all the cool big toys. They've got all the big striders and lasers. They have funky lasers.
No, lasers are just great. Even if you just want to light the other guy up, a laser's great. You know, you're marching into battle and you've got a cigar and you haven't got light, but you've got laser. You're set. You know, smoke it, sit there. If I was in one of these gears, I'd have to smoke a cigar.
Well,
there's just something about it. You would.
That's it. So yeah, these guys they're getting the big Strider gears. They get access to laser weapons. They have tank squadrons, light tank squadrons that can take lasers. Yeah. What do you call them, Darrell? You've been struggling over the name of this all day.
The Hateroi?
Hateroi, yeah.
Hateroi. Yes. Light tanks again. If you can use them well, if you know a balance between armor and guns, and ideally, all these things depends on what it's going to cost you and what you could have in its place.
Well, that's it. I mean, light tank rush has always been a reasonably good tactic in a lot of these games, where you just get lots and lots of light tanks. And again, it's rushing them all up the field, and you know there's an awful lot of shooting that you need to take down tanks.
Again,
they've got tanks, of course, having much higher armor than gears, because they're not quite as maneuverable.
Again, if you can have so many tanks, the other guy just can't kill them fast enough. You're set. You know, it's a northern guy with a big railgun will cost a lot, and if you're getting 10 light tanks in its place, you're set. You'll never kill 10.
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, it's all a matter of how many can I get in exchange for how much damage I can take. And once again, because they've got good armor, if at all, if they can get shot and only take maybe 1 box, 2 boxes of damage, enough that they're not taken out of the fight, as long as they can still shoot back. You know, tanks generally have much heavier weapons than some of the gears as well. So
even just for some of the movement things you can do with vehicles, even if it's alive and it's only barely, there's always things you can do about it. But if we move on to our Eastern Sun,
well, just one more before we go. The humanists also get access to some of the new stuff from the new Cole book, which is the latest book that's been released. So they can take some of that stuff as well.
There has to be some cheesy combos in there.
There's always cheesy combos.
There has to be, because you know, I think the guys who write these books intentionally leave gaps at times. Some people idiotically leave gaps, but some people intentionally leave gaps for vicious combinations. And yes, once you can combine with somebody else, there's always something to be done.
Well, when you're talking about vicious combinations, we go to the very last faction, which is the Eastern Sun Emirates. And basically that's what they do. They combine. They have ties with the North, which means that they're allowed to take a Northern gear unit, which is good.
And
that can be some of your really funky northern gear units as well.
And I believe these Eastern Sun guys also have some really good kit for spotting the other guys.
They've got some of the sensor gears, the Iguana and the Basilisk gear that they can take, which has a really cool upgrade. I think it's a silver scale upgrade they take that gives them a big sensor array.
Yeah, and it's always great. I guess if you can reduce the other person's cover and whatnot as it goes along, and you can spot for somebody else, and then you can take some of the northern guys with some of the big vicious guns.
Real guns,
heavy field guns. Even a medium field gun is pretty vicious.
Yes, pretty vicious.
A light field gun hands it out too. So if you can combine that well and get some nice combos going in there, you're set.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. That's the sub-factions and just a brief overview of the Southern faction in general. So guys, if you like the Southern faction, if you like anything about heavy gear, drop some comments below, tell us about it. If you've got pictures of your own Southern stuff, send us in pictures, we want to see them. So guys, we'll get on, we'll look at some of the other factions for you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of Heavy Gear Week.